Dive even deeper into competitive 40K and become a member of the world's most knowledgeable and positive community.
The War Room is an exclusive group that brings together the world's best 40K players as coaches to help anyone from a newer player to an experienced tournament veteran learn, grow, and reach their goals within our shared hobby.
Each week we offer a variety of live stream coaching matches centered around illuminating the thought process and in-game decision making of top players. We explain everything we're doing and why.
You'll learn about the ever-evolving meta, match play mission theory, list making, and discussion of every faction in the game, and have access to analysis of all the latest rules. Our team of highly experienced coaches teach weekly clinics on each individual faction, strategy sessions on deployment and cool tricks, and meta-analyses each week during Meta Monday.
We are committed to not only providing the best knowledge for players available, but also building a one-of-a-kind community.
Come be a part of the War Room.
I have no idea.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to 40K Today. I'm Scary, your grateful host. This is Matt Morosoli.
What's going on, guys?
We are sorry about the technical difficulties, everyone. We just needed someone remotely to press a button.
Yes. Turns out you can't do that and press buttons for other people in other parts of the world. Who would have thought?
100%. Who knew? But this is your weekly variety show here on the Art of War YouTube channel, where we sit back and we chat about all things 40K that are related to 40K, that matter to us, new releases, event results, general madness that's happening, and we just chat for a little bit. So I'm excited, Matt. Thanks for hanging out with me today.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to it. It's always good to be just here talking 40K with new and exciting people from different parts of the world who enjoy the hobby in different ways. It's fantastic.
Oh, 100%. And you know, the team is away, and they have been away. The first item on today's docket is the Las Vegas team tournament that happened this weekend. And which team took the #1 spot?
Oh, look, mate. It was just this small organization called the Art of War. You might have heard of them. Some pretty cool guys over there.
Yeah, you know what? Double-headed Flamingo says, tell Nick to tell you the story of the double-headed flamingo.
Yeah, big result for the guys over in Vegas. Very, very tough run. They played a lot of the best teams in the field. Didn't just sort of bunny stomp their way up to the top spot. They played, I think it was like 3 teams in the top 5. It was something like that in the end. Just really, really tough run, and did it with style. Only dropped a few games total for the whole weekend. Just really, really proud of the guys over there, doing us really proud.
Oh, exactly. Like, it was crazy. It was, what, 50-some players? Or 50-some
58 teams, 58 so 290 players.
Teams of 5. So, yeah, that was a massive undertaking from the crew. And, we have talked about this before. Team events, or Team Warhammer 40,000, is probably one of the best ways to play Warhammer 40,000.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely, man.
It lets you take a strong, have lists as strong as Adeptus Mechanicus or Drukhari or, other lists like that. And everyone has one, right? And so everyone's on, the same playing field in terms of, a team to team. You all have the opportunity to take the best stuff to every match, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. See, I don't like playing things like AdMech, things that are just, super, super busted. And again, it's no offense to people who like playing that sort of thing because, it's great to play the most powerful list, but I don't like doing it. But I love going to a team tournament where one of my teammates can play that and I can play something that's a bit more janky and off the wall, and we can use pairings to get that in an ideal matchup. That's what I really enjoy about the game. And I think Team 40K lets you do that because you're absolutely right. While AdMech might arbitrarily be the best list in the game, and there's argument to say that Drukhari are, pretty close to them as well. Every single team of 5 can have AdMech and Drukhari, and then 3 other lists they want to have. And you can be competitive, and you don't have to play the same thing. I just love that about Team 40K. It just means that you're not shoehorned into having to play one of 3 things to be competitive.
Yeah, it also means that you can take a faction that's not necessarily S tier, but has B, or even is just under the cusp of being great, but has some bad sort of matchups where if you were to run into them at a singles event, you'd be pretty hard pressed to get a win out of that matchup just because of the disparity of the books. However, you can use that team format to sort of like bullet send these like lesser factions into matchups that are favorable for them, and therefore their value is increased. And we're looking at things like your mixed Eldari with Harlequins or Tyranids, for example, where against the right situation, those factions become incredibly useful toolkits to use, especially when run by someone who is like a faction expert, for example.
Yeah. Absolutely, and look, the other best thing again, like, we're harping on about here about the format, not even about the event, but like my favorite part is that just a loss doesn't mean your weekend's over, because you can go into a negative matchup and your job can be to get 50 points. Your job can be to lose by 10 points, and that's okay. Your job can just be play as close to the draw as possible. Doesn't actually matter if you lose. It stops a lot of I don't like using salt and angst as descriptors, but it stops a lot of that, the feel bads moments when you're playing something that's just a better list than you or a counter than what you're playing. But you can lose by 10 points and it's totally fine because you know that you've done your job and your teammates are going to pull through for you. And that's probably my favorite thing, because I hate going to an event and losing early on and just feeling like, oh, my weekend, it's not over, but like I can't win now. That doesn't happen in team formats if you've, taken, I suppose, a tactical loss for your team so that they can all get better matchups and they can all do really well as well. So
really liked your descriptor there, which is a tactical loss. Now, in terms of the standings that happened at the Vegas team tournament, we'll go through the standings really quickly. This is one of the things that we discussed in the Meta Monday inside the War Room for the War Room members. We kind of broke down like matchups. We broke down the teams' path to victory round by round, which is really fun. But in terms of placings, we had the Art of War winning the event with 6-0. Congratulations to them. N is for Netlist, that did lose the last round against the Art of War. Then we had #Wrecked. Then Team Battle Brothers, that lost to, their only loss was to the Art of War team. Then we had Advanced Warfare, whose only loss was to the Art of War team. Then we had Insane Chaos Posse, they lost their first round and then went to win every single round after that. Then we had Needlessly Malicious. Pro Tabletop came in, they lost 2. And then Team Zero Comp lost 2 as well. So all in all, you can go into BCP, Best Coast Pairings app. You can see the top players and what they were running and lists and all that good stuff as well. But all in all, what a fun weekend of 40K in gaming that we saw this weekend.
Absolutely. And one of the other best things, even if you can't participate, 40K players have got the perfect combination of nerd humor and dad humor. The team names are just fantastic. Insane Chaos Posse is just excellent. I love it. I think even if you can't participate, just go read the team names. They're going to be a great time.
Especially at local team events. Some of the team names people come up with are awesome. They're ridiculous. Of course, we're here with all the fancy, down to business names like Art of War, Okay, so on to the other side of the pond, and our coverage takes us all the way to London, where we had an invitational on Friday, the London GT Invitational Tournament, which was a 3-round single elimination knockout event. And then we had a 5, 6, 7 rounds, technically, super major tournament with 600 players being played in London. Now, the London GT has gone down in infamy as the tournament where you had styrofoam terrain, but they have come a long way since 2 years ago, and now it's one of the premier events to go to test your mettle, where 16 players after round 5 were undefeated, and only 4 were chosen to play a single elimination 2-round event to crown the top spots.
That's right. Gone are the days of empty toilet rolls being your L's in the center of the board. They've got actual terrain now. Very big ups to them. Started from the bottom, now we're here.
Yeah.
Look, LGT got a bad rap early on, I think. I think that, the more outspoken members of the community had some negative things to say about the tournament in its earlier days, and now it's a pretty big deal. Like, look, I'd still like to see a world where they play enough games to get a true top 8 and not have to cut half the winners out. But I understand that logistics are what logistics are, and the only easy way for them to do that is to cut player numbers, which isn't great for anybody either.
No.
But we're much closer to a more competitive format over there, which is great because there are some very, very good players in the UK, and this is a really, really good way to sort of see what the best of the best do when they're up against each other. And it's sort of no surprise the sort of people you see up at the pointy end there. I guess the biggish names over in the UK. But why don't you tell us who won, Scary? Tell us who placed and who won.
So we'll get to that in a second. Of course, did want to give Matthew Nurgle a hype shout out. Thank you so much for the super chat. Of course, Nurgle Matthew with a super chat of 777 because Nurgle.
The right number of pieces of Nurgle to put in a list.
Super chat. Excellent, awesome. He says Art of War hype, which of course we are representing the team, which is fantastic. Okay, so on to the London GT. The winner was Malik, and Malik was running a Adeptus Mechanicus list. So, of course, Adeptus Mechanicus right now has been terrorizing the tournament scene together with the Drukhari. They're like fist bumping their way with people's tears in the middle, right? They're just crushing people's hopes and dreams. And Malik was on a tear. He went 3 victories in the Invitational, and then he went 7 victories at the London GT, which means he went a run of 10-0 with his Adeptus Mechanicus list. So tell us, what madness went 10-0?
See, 10-0 in 3 days. So, 3 games, then 4 games on the last day.
Yeah.
And yeah, 10-0. Look, it really, it's all the hallmarks of what makes Admech great at the moment. He's running the Lucius variant of the, I guess, the typical Admech list, right? We've got, I believe it's 3 of the bombers, 1 of the Dakar planes, the Fuselaves, and then was it 60 infantry?
Sorry, one bomber plane and then 3
1 bomber plane.
shooty planes.
Other way around, right? Yep. And then it's just the big infantry blobs. It's the I believe it was 2 chicken. What was it? I have the list in front of me. Probably should
I have it right here. So we've got
you go.
A Marshal, a Manipulus. This is a Lucius detachment. We have 20 Rangers, 20 Rangers, 20 Rangers, all in Lucius. Then we have Mars, and that's where all the shooting is, really. Well, not the Rangers don't shoot. Of course, anybody in chat can disagree. Leave me a comment down below telling me I don't know how to play Warhammer. And then we've got a Manipulus, 20 more Rangers, 2 single Ballistari, 3 Stratoraptors, and 1 Fuselav in 2 different patrols of Mars. Another Marshal and 15 more Rangers, and of course X-101, which is a little tiny servitor that does actions, basically. He's an action monkey.
If you put everything I don't want to play in, round 6 of a big GT into one list, this is what it looks like. Everything I don't want to see on my opponent's army list when I rock up to the table is what is in Malik's army here. It's just, it's super solid. It's got so much damage. The planes are explosive in the way they deal damage, and especially on the terrain maps you've got at the LGT where it's not light, but there are a lot of lanes of fire, I suppose, that the planes can control and the planes can get in and they can block and just make it hard for you to play the game. The planes do a really, really good job of controlling those sort of tables. So the planes are great. All the infantry is as durable as that infantry gets. It's, unreasonably durable against certain things. And yeah, I think it's important to remember this guy's playing 10 games. Like if you win through the Invitational and through to the finals, you're playing 10 games. You need to make sure that you're prepared to go second. And I think that's why he's gone for the more durable, Lucius infantry blobs rather than, I guess, some of the more offensive options you have in Mars or in Rise or whatever it might be.
97 Rangers, right? So there's robustness in the list to score points, in addition to the crazy amount of firepower that can be put out, not only from the Rangers with buff support of the different logi, but also from the support of the planes, which, if you don't kill, move block and do a variety of crazy like shenanigans because their bases are massive and they can double spin and they're more maneuverable than any Eldari plane would ever expect to be ever.
Yeah,
while
because a
still
razewing
being
jet fighter
airborne.
doesn't look fast at all, right? Like,
Yeah, it's just like a little flappity flap plane that goes around and is just like insanely good for its point cost. Now, this is a shout out to the community. What would you do to change Adeptus Mechanicus if you were in the driver's seat of the development community? I'm curious. I want to read some comments. What would you do, chat, about Adeptus Mechanicus right now if you could? Would you nerf them into submission with points, or would you make everything else better? Right? Like I kind of like that better. Instead of like punishing them, just make everything else better.
which one's more work? Because I think making everything better is probably more work.
Exactly. I would do the work, Games
Yeah.
Workshop. I would do the work. Just letting you know.
I think they need, yeah, I think they need the Drukhari treatment, to be honest. They need some mild points increases, nothing too silly. I think the FAQ that pulled core off a couple of things has helped. Like, it hasn't fixed the problem.
Yeah.
But I think minor points increases would do 80% of the work to just pulling them down a peg, because I hate things just getting nerfed into unusability. It's just not fair. People go and buy these armies, they paint these armies, they play them. Not everyone is a bandwagon jumper, but some people genuinely love the faction. And you can't just go super hard and bury them. They've got to still be playable. And I think GW have been really good with that this edition. I think Drukhari was a good example, because they got pulled down, quite a few pegs when they made those changes. Sorry, the liquefier gun change was huge. That really changed the dynamic of a lot of lists.
Yeah.
And now I feel like, look, people might disagree with me, I feel like Drukhari are a good competitive book, and I think they're on par with Sisters and on par with AdMech, and I think that everything else is probably just a little bit below there. But AdMech need to come down a little bit too, I think.
I would agree. Now, we do have one final event that we want to touch on, and who won that event? The answer will surprise you. But before we go to that point, it will. It really, really will. But before we get to that, I want to talk a couple of the new releases that GW has been putting out. Come October, the Black Templar supplement is going to release. And Games Workshop has been throwing out some spicy pictures of not only the cool Black Templar like starter set, or whatever it is, like part of a Black Templar starter set. It's got a Redemptor Dreadnought, Primaris Neophytes, Initiates, a really cool Marshal. They've already shown off the Empress Champion. Recently, they showed off High Marshal Helbrecht himself in all of his glory with giant sword, based on, of course, the really cool artwork from back in the day. And today, they showed off Grimaldus and his retinue.
Ooh.
Oh, baby. And they actually gave him a new suit of armor. It's called MK10, like I'm a chaplain armor or whatever it's called. But it's like
It's
special.
it's swag armor,
It's
is what it
swag
is.
armor.
You look at this new model. If you haven't seen it, the guy has an absolute swagger about him. This dude looks like he's rolling up, and he is just about to lay waste to whatever is in front of him. I love it. I think it's really, really cool.
Yeah, it is nuts. And I will say that they've changed the servitors, and they did say that he's gonna be like in the article they released, they said it's gonna be like he's gonna inspire units around him in like him and his servitors. So I don't know if they're gonna do like a thing where his servitors are kind of added to the unit, if that makes sense. It's like a sort of like a Saint Celestine style unit. You know what I mean? That'd be kind of cool. Imagine if you could like block Grimaldus and like 3 servitors and Grimaldus with like some like company veterans, and then string that out all the way to the middle, like Celestine style. That'd be so hilarious.
I feel like it's more likely to be like the Dark Apostle and the Dark Disciples. Like they are a separate unit, but they need to be near him and they can't get shot at and things like that. That seems more likely to me as an existing game mechanic. On the topic of those servitors, though, how cool is the dude carrying the busted Aquila on his back? He's such a baller. I reckon that guy looks so sick. I'm a big fan.
He's literally like crushing around. And then they changed the banner. Like the original banner of Grimaldus, like Xenobite Servitors, is a little smaller, has like a couple little tabards. This is like a legit, full-blown banner of the Martyrs or Crusaders or whatever, or the banner of the Fallen Crusaders. And it's just like this like legit full chapter banner that's kind of like half burnt up, which is really awesome. And then a
Yeah.
guy with a little like sensor, some sort of holy water throwy thingy. So that's kind of
I thought he was banging a drum, to be honest. I actually thought he was some tribal dude just sitting there with
like a little,
you know.
like a little,
No,
like
they're very
banging
cool.
the tambourine as he rucks up the battlefield. Leave it to Grimaldus to own a tambourine. But let us know
That's
what
it.
you think of the new releases down below. What other releases have happened lately that you think are really cool? I know they released a bunch of Bandai like Space Marine action figures.
Yeah, I'm less excited for that. I don't love it, to be completely honest. I think it's really cool. Look, coming into Christmas, I think from a business point of view, it's a great present to get someone if you don't know what models they collect, but you know they're kind of just a general hobby fan. But it's not really sort of my sort of thing, I guess. But look, I think it's a smart decision for Games Workshop as a business, because that's the sort of thing you probably sell, as you're starting to roll into Christmas. But
It's at the same time, I love the fact that they're sort of like releasing into multiple different avenues. Like, it does mean that the IP can be appreciated by people who don't necessarily just play the tabletop game, right? We also had the 10th anniversary release of Space Marine, right? So they kind of like revamped and did like a 10th anniversary release of the Space Marine game. If you haven't played the Space Marine game, it's just a very simple walk forward and like kill orcs with your chainsword game. And it's just very like just gruesome. You're doing like KOs and like just taking out these orcs left, right, and center. It's really fun. But that's can you imagine? It's been 10 years since they released that game.
You make me feel old, mate.
You think I'm old?
Yeah.
Every single console I played as a kid is in like museums now. Like the Atari or whatever. It's in a museum. What? I feel old.
Yeah. I'll just sort of pull my neck of my sweater there and just say, yeah, all right. GW has come a very long way as a company. It's easy to reflect on this because I think back to what it was like when I first started playing 40k. When I see releases like this, and the models are way cooler. Like there are some stuff back from like the end of 4th, the start of 5th when I started playing. There's stuff that's sort of timeless. But you look at like the Grimaldus release now. You look at the quality of what's being produced. Routinely, like every release has got some really cool stuff like this. It's just really exciting because I'm a sucker for that. Even though I'll sort of play what I think is most competitive, I love just seeing a really cool new release and sort of getting inspired to try and find ways to make it work in an army. That's one of the things that I really like doing because obviously I like these models. How can I put them into a competitive list that I could take to a tournament and do quite well at? I think that's really cool.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so without further ado, let's dive into the final event that we wanted to cover that happened in Houston. This was a 9-round tournament, and 9 rounds, so it was 6 rounds to seed a top 8, and then it was 3 rounds single elimination at the top 8. And we talked a little bit about Meta Monday. However, I really wanted to hello Amateur Hour, welcome to the Art of War. Thank you for clicking on that membership. Awesome, nice to have you. Welcome to the crew. That's cool. So this is, I just want to go over this top list, Matt, because you and I talked about this earlier, and holy moly.
Yeah, so if you don't know what won this event, I would put a significant amount of money on saying you would not guess what won this event.
Okay, drum roll, please.
It's incredible. It's nothing short of incredible, really.
Yeah.
I think that it goes to show, obviously, what a great player this gentleman is. Do you want to rattle it off? Sorry, I've closed all my tabs from before, so I assume you've got them in front of you.
So we had Russell playing and winning a 50-person GT with Black Legion Chaos Space Marines.
And 9-0, 9-0 with Black Legion.
9-0.
And that's not. And just wait till you hear what's in this list.
Oh my goodness. Okay, before we get to that though, he played some like top people. He played Fennel. He played Colin McDade. He played like David Villarreal. He played like some names in like what the ITC like circuit. to win this with this list. And I just want to go over it real quick, because if you have aspirations to play Chaos, please copy this and take it to your local events. No? You
No,
disagree?
no. I think results may vary. Is the caveat we need to put on here?
Okay, ready? I hope you have your notepads. Okay. So, Abaddon the Despoiler. Okay. Chaos Lord in Terminator armor with Angel's Bane, a Chain Fist, a Combi Bolter, and the Marcus Lanesh. We have 3 units of 10 Chaos Cultists. 2 of them have Flamers. Ooh, spicy.
What? Why wouldn't you? You know,
What?
why not?
It's not like they're going to use ballistic skill. They're cultists. 2 Chaos Contempted Dreadnoughts with Cyclone Rockets and 2 Twin Last Cannons. So that's 4 Last Cannon shots and 2 Rocket Launcher shots, which is actually like a hefty amount of firepower. A Chaos Leviathan Dreadnought with 3 Hunter Killer Missiles, 2 Cyclone Rocket Launchers. Oh, sorry, the Grav Flux Bombard, and the Storm Cannon, and the Marker Corn.
So yeah, so 1 Grav, 1 Storm Cannon, and a bunch of Hunter Killers just sitting on its back waiting to roll.
With the Marker Corn, because nothing screams
Yes.
corn like a shooty Dreadnought. Okay. Then we have a Decimator with the Soul Burner Petards for some mortal wound output. Excellent. A Terrax pattern Termite Drill with the with the Marker Corn. I could see that. Like, fight twice with that thing would be really funny. And of course 2 Volkite Chargers. And then a super heavy auxiliary detachment of Black Legion with a Lord of Skulls. That's it. 2,000 points on the nose.
Yeah, it is a collection of models that adds up to 2,000 points. Is how I would describe this army. It is definitely 2,000 points.
It was so good. It was so good. It adds up to 2,000 points. That's what we can agree on. But if anything gives me hope for like 40k in general, is seeing things like this at the top.
Yeah, look. So Sean Naden will go to an event and he'll win with some random stuff. But this is just on another level of just a random collection of units. I love it, but I just don't understand it because it's got a drill with nothing really to put in the drill. What are you doing? Putting cultists in the drill and just hoping to get an objective? Is that the idea? I don't know. It's got the Lord of Skulls. I guess you're just hoping you get to shoot it all game. You're hoping your opponent doesn't kill it. But you're also hoping they don't kill your Contemptor and your Leviathan. It's just some stuff that shoots and then one thing that kind of punches.
Yeah, and then Abaddon, who just sits there in the middle and like looks pretty on his giant like base walking around.
Or does Abaddon go in the drill and does he pop up and just go charging?
I would not put him in the drill by himself. That would be like you just hoping that you don't roll a 1 if that drill dies. That would be so risky. Then again, if he took this list and won, I would not be surprised that he did some risky stuff to get to where he is.
I've got to say, I think it's a combination of good matchups, good player, and probably getting first turn in the games where he needed it. That's kind of what I think has happened here. But man, I respect it. You've got to have some, some real confidence to take something like this to a 9-round event. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I'd really be man enough to take this to a 9-round event.
That's 9-0. Okay, that's 9-0 going with this list, or maybe 5-1 or whatever. But like, or 8-1. But 9-0 normally. That's about as much as the Adeptus Mechanicus list went at the London Grand Tournament. And if you want to watch a fantastic video that's about 15 minutes long, you can go and watch the finals of the London GT Open in the shortest final in all of history, where you just watch the Adeptus Mechanicus player take 1 shooting phase and then his opponent taps.
Yeah. Welcome to AdMech. This is what happens sometimes.
Yeah. Well, sometimes.
It's just
the terrain. I think the terrain, like the LGT, the way that his list worked, and like what he ended up playing against was a big factor of like all those 3 things. But you should see like the before and after pictures that I saw on Innes's Twitter feed, where he's like the before picture, there's space remodels on the table. The after picture, there's like no space remodels left on the table. So if you want to watch a very short battle report, that's one for you. Yeah,
Hey, it fits into your lunch break. They've finally solved the problem with 40k games taking too long.
that's right.
If
Hey,
if half the players just
There
play
we go.
AdMech, it's all sorted.
that is genius, Matt. We could literally just we could fit 8 rounds into a day. We just have to play just roll dice, who goes first, do one shooting phase, tap, next.
That's it. Sweet. Perfect.
Absolutely. Well, as we come towards the end of the video, thank you to everybody who's been chatting with us. We do have a schedule right here of all the cool stuff that we're doing throughout the course of the week. Some of them will be on YouTube, as you can see by little YouTube-ly video things. Like tomorrow, we're getting the YouTube match. And then on Wednesday, they're doing the stress testing for one of the lists. Everything else is in the War Room for the Art of War. So if you want to be a part of the War Room, make sure you check out all the links. Go to theartofwar40k.com and check that out there, and we have a whole bunch of stuff for you. But before we start wrapping up, Matt, do you have any cool last-minute comments or things you'd like to add into this?
No, I'm loving we're back to big events to cover and to talk about, because especially down in Australia, especially the part of Australia where I live, there's just not a whole lot going on. And man, it just gets me excited to see things like the Vegas team tournament, things like the LGT. I've got my ticket for the LVO, and I'm very hopeful I'm going to be able to come over. We're just really holding out hope. I'm just loving seeing these big events come back and getting to really feel like we're in a part of a proper competitive meta again. It's really, really good. I'm really loving it.
Nergo Matthew says he's run so many drills with nothing in them, it's amazing. So you don't have to run anything in them. It's like a land raider that fights in close combat, when you're looking at a chaos drill.
Yeah. You don't, but when the list is so bizarre like that, I feel like you need to make the most of what you're putting in the list, is kind of what I'm saying.
If it is a transport, you might as well have a plan for it at some point.
Yeah, that's good. But I guess you can just put cultists in there, and then when the drill dies, the cultists get an objective, and hey, we're OBSEC, hey! That's kind of a plan, I guess.
That's the key there is we're still OBSEC, as they peer over their shoulder and look at the Death Guard and Thousand Suns.
Yeah, don't worry, I'm sure an FAQ will take that away. No 2 wound Marines, but you know what? Those cultists.
No OBSEC.
See you later,
for
OBSEC.
you. Reminds me of the Seinfeld episode of The Soup. No soup for you. Other than that, if any Seinfeld fans out there, just saying, I'm showing my age. Thank you very much. But what a crazy day of weekend. This weekend, what do we have coming up?
I don't know.
It's the Games Workshop.
Oh, that one. Oh, yeah. I thought that was okay.
Way to be prepared, Matt. Over here,
When I don't prepare for any of these, I literally wing it every single morning.
That's fine. I was literally throwing you under the bus.
Thanks, buddy. That's
You're
all right. I'll remember that one for the Chaos Clinic. Don't worry, I'm gonna.
I better read up. I'll remember the list that we just talked about, though.
Oh god, can't wait to talk about that one again. Yes, is it New Orleans this one, or am I getting it wrong? Okay.
One. Yeah. So this weekend there's another big one of the Games Workshop majors that they put on, which I'm assuming will follow a very similar or exactly the same format to the one they did in Texas, was it Florida? No, it's Florida, right? Florida, and then anyway, it's the second one.
Yeah, I think it started in Florida. That sounds right. Yeah,
it is the second one, and of course they're using Games Workshop terrain. It'll be live streamed. We'll have a variety of different things. Like we're going to be doing stuff about it this weekend, but it is the New Orleans tournament. Any predictions?
AdMech. I think
you're wrong.
Yeah. I don't think anything is really going to change. I think the sort of things that we saw at the LGT and at the Las Vegas team tournament, I know obviously the team format's very different, but if you look through those lists, you'll see most teams were Drakari, AdMech, Sisters. I think there's a very big chance that they're the usual suspects now. They're the ones that are going to be up at the pointy end. I'm really hoping we see something like spicy just pop through and, show up and do well. I know that these formats are a little bit different to the FLG events. The terrain's a bit different. the format is a little bit different. So we'll hopefully see something cool come through and surprise us. But I think
Hopefully.
Admech Drakari Sisters
Black Legion.
probably still too good.
Black Legion. That's my thumbs up for Lord of Skulls making it all the way, because we saw it almost go all the way at the first GW event. 3 Lords of Skulls, Iron Warriors, Lords of Skulls.
Yeah. See, yeah, that's not. Okay, never mind. I was gonna say it's not terrible, but it's pretty bad. But it's okay.
Well, when piloted well, it's Iron Hands and then Lord of Skulls. Like, it actually keeps them alive longer. They've got some really cool strats. Like, we could have a whole clinic on like weird rando lists that people like using that are really fun. But we won't bore you with any of that technical jargon here on the interwebs. We'll talk about it in the clinics over here.
That's right. YouTube is for memes, and that Black Legion list is a meme. So
Exactly. Well, other than that, it's been really, really fun. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody who is watching. A huge shout out to all of you for being in the chat. Thank you, Nurgle Matthew, for the super chat, and thank you, 40K Amateur Hour, for the membership. Really appreciate it. Of course, you can always find out more on theartofwar40k.com. I've been Scary, your grateful host. This has been Matt.
see you guys. Have a great day.
Awesome. Have a good one, and we'll chat with you on the next video. Bye, everybody.